number 15. So there's a lot of good material. I'm enjoying when I'm teaching my students, like, well, you can just go to Zoom 6 ways to handle a 270, or you can just hit Zoom rear crosses and, you know, go into all this nitty gritty detail. So I gotta tell you, doesn't happen often, but I am a little bit nervous about left and right because so many folks get mixed up about it, and they get mixed up about whether they need it. They get mixed up about what the cues are. They get mixed up about when to use the cues. And I am hoping that what we accomplished today is clarity. There's a lot of different ways to actually teach left and right, and we'll go there, and the article goes there. And the way that I show in the article on how to actually teach it isn't the way I do it with my own dogs now, but it is an easy way to do it for lots of people. But I think that there's more to discuss about left and right than how to actually teach it. And if you needed help teaching it, I mean, we'll go there a little bit. So let me screen share now. And I'm going to throw the first article up. And after the first article, I'm going to show you this little thing that I made you, which is what my cues actually are, because I often end up going there, running to my dry erase board at the training field and making that part clear. So I hope you read the articles. Not everybody needs it. If you can outrun your dog, you don't need it. If you don't understand lead changes, you need to understand lead changes. If you played horsey when you were a kid and you galloped, and then you went around a corner and you galloped this way, that's a lead change. It just means animals on 4 legs, when they run, one of their front legs is out further and they cannot turn. So you can't be on your right lead and turn left. You will fall over. You have to change leads to do it. So the reason that you have to understand that is because when your dog changes direction, he's changing his lead. And they're usually on the lead on the side that you're on. It gets tricky, you guys. The lead business, and to me, this is the only reason to have an actual left and a right versus a generic turn away cue. So a generic turn away cue just means go the other way now. You're on your right lead, switch leads. In fact, one organization, folks that are prominent in one organization, they actually call it switch. Lots of people call it turn, go the other way. I called it hook because in my world, turn meant something else. So you can have a generic command that means go the other way, but it's based on what side the dog is on. And when we look at the diagrams, I'll make that a little bit clearer. I don't want to go the reason I'm nervous about presenting this is because I'm thinking about the person that's already knows about lead changes, already knows about whether it's a generic, already knows about generic versus proper left and right. Proper, not the right word there, forgive me. And then the person who's like, a dog can learn left and right, who knew? So that's what makes me a little nervous, that I don't want to go too far over anybody's head or stay too long under anybody else's head. So that's why I'm sort of thinking I'm going to look at the diagrams here and then get to your questions so I can get a real feel for what you guys need from me today, and making the point. So this is what this part of the article right here is what I'm talking about. Will you do a left and a right, or just a generic turn command? And there's the switch, turn, and hook. And I was about to say, and I interrupted myself, I do that all the time, is that the generic turn away is gold. and it's gold for anyone who is not an obsessive compulsive trainer. If training isn't your number one hobby, I can tell you right now, stick with the generic. And I can also tell you that I've gotten many, many dogs to the very tippy top of the sport with a generic. And I recommend that most of my students have a generic. The only time a generic will not work for you is if you have anticipated the dog would be on a different lead, which is rare. And it usually only happens if something has gone wrong. So the dog isn't on the lead that he was supposed to be on because something screwed up. You got an extra wide turn or a refusal or something that now he's coming from the other direction. And you're going to either need 2 generics or you're a little bit toast. So you guys, to go through the training to get the comprehension to the dog to go left or right when he's coming toward you or turning away from you, meaning it's not a lead change. He stays on the lead he's on, or he changes lead. The amount of training to really and truly have that work in the heat of the battle is more training than I can guarantee you the average person needs or wants to put into the left and right training. I am obsessed with left and right. I love it. And I enjoy teaching it to that comprehension. So if you're not, sign me up, that sounds like more fun than a barrel of monkeys, I'm recommending you stick with a generic, because there is very, very, very little that I could not get a dog through without it. So I do recommend that your left and right or generic turn command be a verbal only. So some folks will turn the dog away from them with an outside hand. I'm opposed to that, because when I bring my outside hand up, that's what I do if I need to help my dog with a front cross when I'm not in position. The hands can look real different. And I have friends that use it and make it work, and they come big and wide when they're flicking that dog off, and they've got all this rear cross principles involved. But I am this stickler for simple and clean, simple and clean. So what I say is, my hand the closest to you comes up, it means go straight. My hand that's on the other side of you comes up, it means turn into me. And I don't want to have to worry about any other things than that. That's nice and simple for my little simple brain and my little terrier's brains. So, so that's why so when we're talking about left and right, all I can really do is tell you for a really long, detailed time why I do what I do, and other people do other things and seem to be making it work. But at the end of the day, I got to answer to the dog. So if I can't defend it, like to what I just did, I stick with what I've got. So because I only have 2 hands on my little body, and one means go straight and the other one means turn into me, I use a verbal only for all my turns. I do not turn my dogs off of a hand cue. So this little hip tickle way, you guys, works really, really good. And the only reason I said I wouldn't do it with my next dog is because I've moved away from shaping in my training in general, because I like being emotional with my dogs. I like talking to them. I like interacting with them. So while clicker training and shaping is fascinating, valuable, I believe everyone should train some behaviors with it to get real comprehension about all that it has to offer, which is plenty. I generally like to be a little bit more connected with my dog when I'm teaching. So, but the left and right is one thing that I like to shape. I'm also doing some left and right training on marks, and I kind of do something different with every dog when I'm teaching it. So this hip tickle, the biggest thing about it is, picture this photo here is, so this photo, this is Susan Larson and Murphy. And so the biggest part is people, you got to have, the dog's head has started to turn in this photo. You see how she hasn't turned even yet. And this is where she's starting to turn. So the timing of when you turn to match the dog, because what a lot of people do is they start to turn when the dog is like this. And you know what the dog does? You know what the dog does with his head? Where are you going? He looks right at the handler. So when his head is turned like that, now it's, see, when it's like that, the dog sees her out of his left eye. So when she turns and he wants to go, where are you going? I'm coming too. He's going to end up going that way. So the timing of when the handler rotates their body is critical. The other thing, if she's turning too soon, she's not getting the dog to turn on his own. And that's what this tickle hip does. And that's what shaping does. The dog is turning on his own. And then the handler is joining the dog. So some dogs though, so she's using a treat right here. Some dogs are like, you know what? You could brand me with a hot iron on that hip and I ain't leaving that cookie. So we're like tickles become taps, and then they become little hair pulls, and then it's a little more than a pull, and it's like, this dog isn't going to leave the cookie. So that's why in this photo I've said, if the dog is too distracted by the treat, just slide your hand into the collar before you tickle the hip. But you do let go of the collar when the dog is at this stage of the rotation. So this is fun and easy, really fun and easy. And then this one, I don't know if you noticed in the text, I wrote it wrong. I said the tickle hand. I said if the dog is on the left, it would be your right hand. And no, the tickle hand is still the left hand. So that's what happens when dyslexic people write articles that go back and forth from left and right a lot. So this is just, you guys, there's a big difference between when I'm talking about dragging that cookie down the dog's body, literally the handler's hand is touching fur. Her hand is touching fur all the way. And it's just a lure. We just underestimate the power of the lure in training way, way, way too much. The only thing you got to know about a lure is get out of it quick. It's just an icebreaker. The problem with lures is if you make it only a lure for too long, then the dog isn't going to make the leap that it should be something else. But this just breaking the ice a few times could take you to your tickle, or just you go to start, and this is what happens with both the tickle and the drag the treat down the body. Boy, I sure could have come up with a more clever name than that. The thing of it is you start to do it and the dog goes, oh, I know what this is. And that's when you get the anticipation, and that's how you don't drag the cookie down the body for a week, and you don't do the tickle for a week. I'm talking a few sessions. And when I'm teaching left and right, I did say this in the article as well. You guys, to me, it's like when I teach my poles, that I set aside a couple of weeks, and I work on it 2 or 3 times a day, if I can, twice a day, for a few minutes, because this is not one of those things that the dogs easily, you don't work on it twice a week. You'll be at it endlessly. Physical cues are successful when the handlers are in the correct position to execute them. If you can't be in the correct position to give your dog a physical cue, or if your training is lacking in the physical cue department, you have to rely on verbal cues. I think it's really important to understand when you're using verbals and when you're using physical cues. And I've talked about this with you all before. I've morphed and changed and morphed and changed and thought about it and thought about it. Where I have landed is if I am 6 feet or more, and that is a conservative. It's probably going to be 8 next week. But if I have to be a chunk ahead to feel like I'm ahead. If I'm only a foot or 2 ahead, or I'm at the dog's neck, or at the dog's muzzle or at the dog's shoulder even. I'm actually technically behind or on my way to very, very, very quickly being behind. So, and I don't use verbal cues if I'm cleanly ahead. I'm not using a verbal cue when I do a blind cross. If you're using a verbal cue and you do a blind cross, it's because you've done a really, really bad one if you have to tell the dog what side to get on. So whenever you're working the dog with left and right, you would have the dog, if you can see my cursor around this first photograph, the dog is centered between your legs. And Linda's got her fingertips on her dog's shoulder blades. And she may be steadying the dog up. In fact, I know she is because the dog is sitting. If she was restraining the dog would be standing. The difference is she would have a little bit more tension in her fingertips, but she wouldn't be rocking the dog back and forth. That subject is the art of gentle restraint, where you're loading a spring and it's another day. We're not going there. So she's staying in the middle of the jump, so she's not influencing the dog, and she's testing as she would be telling Jojo to go this way, left or right. And then this is the photo that is worth your price of admission. So I said there's lots of ways. What I should have said was there's lots of effective ways to teach left and right. This is my least favorite way, where you're using, and it's the most common because it's a verbal cue, so I don't want to train it on a giant physical cue. Are these physical cues? Yes, but they're not giant. They don't look like anything else. They don't feel like anything else. And they're more tactile than actually looking at the hand. So I don't like this big follow my hand out here. And I see a ginormous difference between this type of lure and this type of lure. Could you do it that way? Sure. Is there somebody in the audience saying, I did it like that with my dog? Sure. Did I do it like that with the dog? Sure. But I wouldn't again, because I have to weed that hand out and it takes too long. The other ways that don't have the hand in it in the first place are more efficient. So troubleshooting let's talk about anticipation a little bit. Don't worry about anticipation. When it happens, you're on the right track and should start using your turn command at that point. So I'm just trying to get the dog to go the other way. And when he starts, you remember a minute ago, I said he'll get to a point where you start to do the lure or you'll start to do the thing and he goes, ha ha, I know this one lady, and they start to do it. That's when you can start naming it. And always rotate with the dog, so you end up facing the same way when the dog is on your side. So, and that'll be clearer. This I already said, spend a couple of minutes a day on it if you can. The main thing is, once a day. And then this part here, you guys, don't wait until this is a hard one, and I've experimented a lot with a lot of dogs, and if you get one side like polished, perfect, before you start the other direction, it's going to be hard on you and your dog, because your dog is going to be like, no, me go this way, no, me go this way, no, me go this way. So I get one about 70 to 80% baked. The dog is doing it, but it's not fluent. And then I introduce the other one. And different dogs have different degrees of problems with it. And then I get the other one about that baked or cooked. And then I'll go back. And they all have trouble. They should get, what the hell? You want me to turn this way? Now you want me to turn that way? So it's fair, and you got to be patient. If your dog struggles with one side more than the other, what do you think the likelihood of that is? It's pretty darn likely. Work the weaker side for a day or two and get it back equal, and then start going back and forth. Now this section right here, I'm going to spend a whole minute on because I learned this the hard way, and it's simple math. It's very simple. Um, I used to like to go left, right, right, left, right, 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 left, 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 right, left, right, left, right, left, 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 and make sure the dog was listening. Well, one day it's like the dog missed enough that I thought looks like he's just guessing. And then I realized, oh my gosh, they can be guessing a lot because they've got a 50-50 chance. I didn't do that math. So it's like, oh, sweet, no. So now the way I find out if the dog knows it is I'll do 4 left, 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 or 5 left. And usually one of those, they'll go, enough of these now, I'm going to go the other way. Surely she didn't mean to do the same one. So that's test 1. And then left, left. And if they're like, oh yeah, this is my favorite side, I just keep going. So you can tell by what the dog is thinking when you're doing those multiples as to how well trained he is. Because if he's doing left, 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 you ask for a right, and you're probably not going to get it. So it's just like somebody the other day had this beautiful backside in class. And I'm like, try it from a lane further away. Got it. Try it from a lane farther away. And I realized, oh, the dog is choosing, loving, wanting, and been trained a lot on backsides. I said, try to get the bar. Guess what the dog did? Went to the backside. So sometimes we're real proud of our training, and it's really just the dog proofing him or choosing for himself the one he likes the better. So now I feel like if I ask the dog to do one direction 4 or 5 times, and then the next one is the other one, that's proof of comprehension. I have a really fun thing I do in the pool. Tuxedo likes to chase hoses, so I hold the hose in the pool when I'm filling the pool. And I have him do left, left, left. And then I make the hose appear on the fountain from the hose splashing in the pool. If you have border collies or terriers, you probably understand why this is the world's biggest reward. And if you don't, trust me, it's a big reward. And then I put the hose back in and I do right, right, right. And I think that swimming in the pool and doing those tight circles is making my dog really fit. Okay, I think everything else in this we covered. Any questions on this first article?
I have a bit of this is Karen, I have a question, because when I trained Sky as a puppy, it's actually started as core work on the fit paws. So yeah. So him facing me, we did right, left, and I did like you did. I mixed it up because I could tell he was predicting, anticipating what direction. So, oh, I see Pat. Pat must not be muted. Hi, Pat. So anyway, so then when he was a puppy, we'd go out walking, and when I was behind him, I'd do right, left, so he would, make the changes. So he seemed to understand it, but after reading your article, I realized no, he doesn't have that high level of understanding. So when we are in class or an agility trial, he does seem to know his right and left, but after reading your article, I realized part of it might be the physical cue as well when it's a rear cross. But I'm just wondering, should I go back? I mean, he knows right and left. We do not have a generic. He knows right and left. But at our last trial, he obviously listened to my physical cue more than my verbal, because I said go right and I meant to go left, and he actually did go left. So I'm just wondering if I should retrain this based on this first article about setting the dog up for the left and right. Should I try that instead?
You can, on the second article, when we get into the diagrams, if you want to test with a tunnel how well he knows his left and right. And I would say that this is completely a decision based on how much distance handling you want to be able to do on the dog. Because if you are physically able with this dog to give proper physical cues, if you can get into place well enough, then your verbals can just be this beautiful backup, and your dog's comprehension level may be adequate. But so this is sort of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I need them, I want to do some real hairy stuff where, you know, and I'll tell you something, when I am handling tucks, because it's happened twice now, maybe probably more, and I've got a line set and I'm doing proper physical cueing to an obstacle he likes, and I say right, and I should have said left, that dog goes right. And I have to jump up and down and kiss him. And I'm so proud of my training, but you would probably not, and I don't know if I have to train as much as I do to get it, because I don't train less, but I train it a lot and I proof it a lot. And we can go into, you know, he can do left and right facing me, facing away from me, and on both sides of me. So it is not just turning off of me, which a generic is. But 90% of dogs, if the handler is handling the line and they say with that very forceful inflection, left or right, the dog will change leads. For most dogs, and I've argued it and I can prove it easy most of the time. The average person that thinks, I don't know how to say this right, you guys, most people that think they have a left and right do not. They have a basic understanding of change the lead. And I personally, you guys, here's the beautiful thing. It's so simple. I argue this with my students. I never, ever use left and right to turn the dog toward me on course. I proof it because I'm a training addict. And I want comprehension for the time where he is on a wrong lead. And I do need that true left. But that's the only time my true left and my true right are going to help me, when there's a double lead change or it's a S-shaped tunnel. And even then I should know what lead, even then it's pretty easy to predict what lead they're going to be on. But the reason I would never, and I see people trying to do it, say left and right for every turn on the course, whether the turn is toward them or away from them. It's crazy, because who wants to remember that many lefts and rights? I just use my generic. So on the average course, how many times are you actually telling your dog to change leads and turn away from you? It's once or twice. It might be 3 times in a premiere, but I'd have to have some hard evidence. All of the rest of the turns are toward me. We're going this way, we're going this way. All of the rest of the times that the dog is making a tight turn or a wide turn or a medium turn or any other turn, it's just here or come. I can't remember left and right. So what happens as a result, because people do just use generics for left, for, you know, just stick with me, come this way, hang on me, generic come, it ends up being a late lead change anyway. So I only use my left and right for a lead change, and it's a strong argument for just sticking with a generic. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yeah, in a way you did. I mean,
I don't know if you need to retrain it. I don't know if it's working for you, but it does sound to me like you have your left and your right are a lead change, and I think that can serve you very, very well as a lead.
And not switch to a generic, because it seems like if I switch to generic, I think that would confuse them. So don't
switch to a generic. There's no value in that. Just use your left and your right as a verbal turn away for a lead change.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And he is often ahead of me, like when you're saying the distance. I mean, he's always so far ahead of me. So that's why I do use it.
Usually we're using them in conjunction with some sort of rear cross, and they're already picking up on that. If you do great rear crosses, your verbal lefts and rights will just be this lovely icing on the cake.
Yes, it is.
Bar stay up.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on Article 1?
Yeah, this is Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I I got confused during that last answer.
Okay.
Are you suggesting that your dog is trained both for the hook and the right and left?
No. No, you don't need both. You just need a left and a right and a generic, but you use them the same way. That's what's confusing.
Okay. My original question then was, if you prefer just the generic turn or hook, as you call it, why did you put the right and left in the article? Why the option if you have a preference? Just in case people already have that training, or?
My preference is for the abilities of the mainstream agility handler, because the left and right a lot of my students get really nervous when they handle, and a lot of my students can't remember the incredibly detailed dress rehearsal that it takes in a walkthrough to get those verbals out at exactly the right time and remember all the verbals. So when you're under fire, Amy, it's way easier just to go the other way, which is a generic. I have to put left and right in there because there are people like me who have been doing agility forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I want that left and right for when there's a double lead change, or there's something extraordinarily different or difficult where that generic won't work. So there are times when the generic won't work. The question is, are the times numerous enough to pay the price of the time to get the comprehension to the level where it would work anyway? Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I right away started training on this and started using right left because my dog already has a little bit of comprehension on that from some trick training. But then when I heard you speaking today, I thought, oh, maybe I should genericize this. Maybe I'm making it too difficult.
You'll find, no, if you've already got to start on it and you enjoy the training, stick with your left and right, especially if you've started comprehension. What will happen is when you're handling, if it's too much for your brain, you guys, I want to make something really clear here. I am not pulling out lefts and rights on the fly when I'm handling. It is not happening. Every single one of them is planned. When my dog's toenail hits a certain blade of grass on the course, I say it. And I get it that there are lots of people way more astute than I am and have way younger brains than I do and can do things that I can't do. But because I hope we all are. I mean, you're handling, what is it? Like 20 obstacles in 30 seconds, and there's so much happening so fast. So I want to really minimize my words. So even I had a hard time deciding if I wanted to leave a generic. But I wanted, you guys, I've been on World Team 3 years in a row, and I needed some extra skills. And it was when I made World Team that I switched. But for most of my students, I've got students at the tippy top of the sport using a generic. So it's a personal choice. And Amy, if you find out when you're handling, if you start you get into these, premier level courses and the Master's Challenge courses, and you find that you're using, like somebody already said, they've said the left and the right wrong. You may make the decision that you're happier, that that shoe fits your foot better. The heck with the dog to use a generic. So it's not all about the dog on making that decision.
Well, it's funny. I started thinking about how quickly am I going to be able to make the right response, and I thought maybe I should go with the generic.
Well, like I said, I am never, ever just pulling it out of thin air when I'm on course. My walkthroughs, one of these days we'll do my three phases of a course walkthrough. But I spend a full 5 minutes on a dress rehearsal that is very detailed. My mouth, my eyes, my arms, my feet. And I can't do all that and then think shit up too while I'm running. I mean, the plan either works or it doesn't. I mean, I can save stuff pretty good because that's years of experience. But often I can't. Often my positional cues are so extreme, and I'm relying on high level trained verbals to a level that if it doesn't work, it's not savable. So if any of you are wondering, boy, am I going to be able to get it out? I would say don't even think, don't put that on your plate. Put it in your dress rehearsal. All you have to do is remember, I'm heading to the broad jump, say left. I'm headed to the broad jump, say left. You know, as soon as his nose hits pole 12, say right, say right. When he's there, say right. And you're just, yeah. Does that help, or is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna mull it over some more.
Yeah, you guys, this is mull stuff. And that's why I said, you know, I'm a little nervous about this. Is stuff that, you know, you got me laying awake at night for 30 years figuring it out. So I can give you the information, but there is mullability on how much time do I want to put into this and what am I actually going to be able to do on course. And the generic is where, after lots of conversations, just like we're having now, most of my students end up with the generic. Pat White is here, and she's at the top of the game. She's at the top of our heap in AKC agility, and she uses a generic. Okay. So now we're going to go to Article 2. And I do want to go to that other. So, and that's why I say last month you decided whether you're going to teach a generic or a left and a right. And you guys, you know, spend some time thinking about it. So I looked at all of these diagrams over the week, and if you do I do a lot more building value in stanchions now than I used to do when I wrote this. So if you were doing this number 1 and your dog kept going to that stanchion, just get rid of it or move it and then let it be proofing later. And if your dog, because I wasn't training backsides to the level that I am now, what I'm trying to say, if your dog is having difficulty because of the approach of the jump, change it. It's fine. There isn't anything magic about this lane. So if your dog kept going to that side of the stanchion or kept taking that one, get rid of that one and approach from this direction. Do you understand? So your dog is on your left and you just approach to this direction and have him hook left away from you. So you're going to vary your approach. This approach is probably easier than this approach. Now that we do backsides. When you send your dog from your left side, he should turn left around the stanchion and vice versa. As the dog makes the turn, support his choice by rotating with him. And we already talked about that as soon as his head turns, you turn. But you guys, it is so easy to this timing is tricky. And if you get one thing from me today, you shouldn't join the dog until he actually responds to the verbal cue. So you don't ask him in a soft, sweet voice. Say turn or left like you mean it, but his head has to turn before you do. And then you got to turn quick. So be kind and gentle with yourself, because the timing of that, getting it to where you are joining him, you're not creating the turn with your body rotation, is a key element to him actually learning that it's a verbal cue and not a physical cue. And then there's this real fun timing with the go on versus the left and the right. And one thing I want to talk about here, it's time for me to go to my little vocabulary sheet. I don't know if you want to take a photograph of this or just jot it down. I bet you there was a way I could have put it in the chat for you. Am I brave enough to do that? I'm going to try in a minute. So these are my 4 turn cues. So I already told you that I'm not going to be saying left and right every time I just want the dog to go around a pinwheel with me, or just stay on a logical side doing a logical soft turn, or even a hard turn. So so I look at my left and right, or my hook or my turn. Those are secret specialty weapons. They are used in specialty circumstances. I want them kept special. I want the dog to think special when he hears them. I don't want them just being generic, do the normal thing, generic, do the normal thing, do the normal thing. Staying with me on the lead you're on is the normal thing. That's why I use generic commands. So to turn, or to come with me, or to stay with me means I use a word, and my word is here. So just before the dog takes a jump, I say a soft here, here. Now, a lot of my students can't do a soft here. They do a strong here, and it'll pull the dog off the jump. So some people are using other words, like I have a student that use bend. Bend just means come with me, and it helps the dog collect up a little bit so the dog isn't taking that jump in full extension. And when I use that single come or here, it means you're going to take the obstacle and you're going to find another obstacle. Yes, I'm saying the other obstacle name. Yes, I'm in the correct position to handle. But that single soft word, come, and I don't use the dog's name. I use the dog's name to mean give me your eyeballs. It's not what you think. So my word for number 1, my cue is here, a soft, gentle, helping hand here. Number 2 is turn tight towards me. That's my verbal wrap cue. And that means don't turn and find an obstacle. It means turn and find a refusal line, the refusal line of the obstacle you're on. It's a tight, tight wrap cue. Some people say dig, 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 wrap, wrap, wrap. I say tuck, tuck, tuck. So you have and my single word, so I use a staccato verbal, a staccato repetitive that does not crescendo. So you listen to your classmates and they'll go, ding, 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 which sounds just like go, 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 go. It does not promote the essence of collection. The essence of collection is slow down, warning, dig, 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 tuck, tuck, tuck. And that's something you're going to practice in the car. You're going to practice saying, go on, dig, dig, dig. And it's huge, you guys. We'll do one of these on voice inflection. It takes a lot of practice in the car. You don't expect to just do it on the fly. Number 3 is a turn away from me command, a left, a right, a hook, a turn. That means turn away from me, not tight, and find an obstacle. Hook pulls, turn scramble, left scramble, right pulls, always away from me, turn away from me and find an obstacle. And then I also have a turn away from me tight. It's the opposite of the verbal wrap. So I have turn away from me, super, super tight, to find the refusal line. So I have one that means turn super tight toward me and super tight away from me. And then I have one that turns not super tight toward me and not super tight away from me. And that's all I got. And there are 360 degrees of a turn. So then my job is to just say, which turn is it? Is it more this? Do I want the dog to find that refusal line quick? Or am I going to an obstacle? And all of the 360 degrees of turns have to fit into the round peg or the square hole.
Sandy, quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do they have to be, can they be on any lead? I mean, if they're on the incorrect lead, that's going to send them to the right and you need them to turn left to get the next course line, and there's no way to shape it because you're 10 feet, 20, 15 feet behind, would you still use your hook or your command?
My left, my right, and then the generics of those are only used for a lead change. So if I've got a wonky line and the leads, there's multiple lead changes, or if he goes wide and he's up now, I've done something to get him back. My left and right, I still say the direction I want the dog to go, and Tux will turn without a lead change, but I'm the correct way, but I'm not training that because I want to use a generic for non-lead changes.
Gotcha.
I want to use a generic for non-lead changes because most of the time I don't want my dog thinking about changing his lead. I want him to think about accelerating all the time on the lead he's on. So the more complicated math I give him to do, the more complicated his instructions are, you know, and normally when we yell left or right or hook or turn, we've got this little bit of throw in our voice. And that's why the gal said when she threw out a directional, Nancy Guys used to say, any old noun will do. And here, and you guys, this excites me now because I don't get to say always often in this sport. I always get the same answer when I ask a group, whether I've met them before or not, have you ever, ever, ever said the wrong obstacle on course? Have you ever said tire when you were heading to the poles? Or have you ever said jump when you're heading to the A-frame? If you say no, it means you're in novice and you've only shown twice in your life.
Exactly.
Because everybody's done it. So then Nancy Guys coined the phrase, any old noun will do. And we quickly realized that you could say poles, and every dog except for Jim Basic had a dog 30 years ago okay, I can count on one hand the number of dogs. So it would actually go, that's not the poles. I'm putting on the brakes and I will hunt down the poles. So because of that, I realized when she said any old noun will do, I realized any old action word will do and any old directional word will do. And that's why it's best to use them to turn away. And then once I realized I don't want to be using left and right for the 20 obstacles, I'm only going to need a turn away once or twice. That means there's 18 times I just want to say come or here, or, you know, hang on me, the generic. So I hope I answered your question. But if you're using a generic and it is positional based, so I used to think that the dog would have to be pretty close to me to know which side he left me on. And then one day I was showing and I had to do this Hail Mary. The dog was way, 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 way ahead. And I just yelled it. I was like, there's no way this is going to work. It is a Hail Mary. And the dog switched leads. And that's when I knew I was actually training a lead change, but it was where the dog had left me last. Now, the big fun question is, how long can they remember where they were last? And I'll tell you what, they'll surprise you. You ask them. You ask your dog, do you still remember what side you left me on? Because they're on the lead. And you'll get away with a lot if you, from great distances, greater than you trained, just because it means go the other way. I never use an obstacle for a directional. So if the dog has to change lead to get to the poles, I'm not going to say poles. I'm going to say left or right or hook or turn, poles. I only will say an obstacle name after the dog is looking at it. Do it. Trust me. We got to jam through 2. I knew this was going to happen. So I call the thing out the thing before. So I wouldn't tell my dog to jump here, because if I told him jump and I was on decel and takeoff, he'd do a wrap. And I like that. That's a good thing. So I would release the dog on go on with the dog right in front of me, like that photograph of Linda. And I would start just by saying left. But what happens is some of the dogs will just go left, right here. So you guys, that stride or 2, you've got to teach them that left means take the jump, and they'll get confused, and just put them a little closer. But there'll also come a point where you're back here and it's too far. And that's between you and your dog. So I will say go left, and I will say go here if I'm sending. So the information zone, here I need the dog to take this jump in extension. So I'm gonna start with go on. And then where he gets his right is your fun project. And you will be shocked at how early they really need it. And just because if you say right and the dog turns and doesn't take the jump, you did not necessarily say it too early. You just hadn't taught him to still take the jump. So let your dog ask these questions. You need to say, you can't wait till the last second. Don't let your dogs train you to say that left or right at the last second. You know why? You'll be knocking bars like crazy, baby. Dogs can't handle late commands, especially if they're just a little bit fat. A little pudge on that little dog, little COVID pudge and a little late cue, and you ain't gonna keep a bar up. So practicing, helping him, no, I did mean the jump. And if you say left and you give him a cookie for not taking the jump at your own funeral, that's how we train refusals. So if you say left and he doesn't take the jump, run over. No, I meant take the jump. And I wouldn't even care if he's on the wrong lead, he'll go the wrong way. So then just start over. But always say, no, I meant the jump. So this is a generic. So this is left and right. The difference is the dog is starting in front of the handler. And then this is the turn. So, oh my gosh. This is wrong. You guys are gonna fire me. If the dog is on the hand, this would be a dig, dig, dig. The dog is turning towards the handler. Do you guys see that? I need everybody to wake up. Everybody wake up. This is a good thing for you to see. If the dog is on this side of you, it's turning toward you. That is a dig, dig, dig. If the dog leaves you and turns away from you, that is a turn away command. This diagram is absolutely wrong. Can I call my editor about something that happened many years ago? That's upsetting. Okay, this would be a dig, dig, dig. The dog is turning, whether it's this jump or this jump, the dog is turning toward the handler. If you said turn when your dog is right here, your dog should go the other direction. Please ask me if you don't understand. The left and right is easy because it's lined up with the dog. See how this handler, you guys, the turn is away from the handler? See how this diagram and this diagram don't gel? 6 and 8. This is correct. The dog is leaving the handler's left side and turning left, and that's the turn away. The dog is turning away from the handler. If the dog was turning this way, she'd be turning toward. And the way you know that the dog is turning toward you is this handler can see the dog's right eye the whole time. When the dog turns to the left, there's a second where the handler cannot see that dog's right eye because the dog turns away. The dog has to turn his head away. He's also changing leads. And then this is just a fun drill to bring the dog back around and turn them again. This is just comprehension. And then this is telling the dog to take that jump and then seeing if the dog will do the left or the right or the turn. You can also do the turn by having the dog, if the dog was on this side and you said turn, the dog should go that way. If the dog is on this side and you said dig, 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 that would be towards you this way. So those are your 2 jump drills. This is the drill. This is also fun. Just, you know, these are just drills, guys, practicing your directionals. This is no longer my favorite drill. I think you can get a lot more for your money with these. These are end-to-end jumps, and these are the parallel jumps. I think you can get a lot more for your money with the parallel jumps. But this is where you start having a lot of fun, where you can actually have 3 tunnels and say go on, and do your left and your right and have multiple jumps. You can also do this with a single, that's what I was talking about. I think, Linda, it was you. You can do, let me see here. How can I show it? I think I can show it the best here. Ah, I know. The jump is a tunnel and the tunnels are jumps. So you're sending the dog through, and it can be a short tunnel. You're sending the dog through, and you add this, you guys, you can't just put 3 out there like this. So imagine this is a jump, and this is a jump. It would be going this way, of course. And this is a jump, and this is a short, straight tunnel. Just do your left and your right first, and then take those 2 jumps away and do go on, go on. And then you can put, you know, 1 back so that you're not, you don't just start with the 3. So
I've done that.
this is, you know, you can do this obviously with different obstacles, but the hard part, what's easy about this is the dog, as he's taking the jump, if you're doing handling, can see you. And it's real hard to hold perfectly still. You're leaning, you're saying left and leaning, saying right and leaning. If you were, you could also do this with your generic. You would just have your dog on your side. If your dog was on your left, it would be go on. It could be go on from either. And then it would be hook if he's on your left this way. And if he's on your right, hook would be that way. But my favorite way now, you know, I do evolve. Lucky for you, you want me to. I have a straight tunnel here and turn them left and right to a jump, because when they're in the tunnel, all they can do is hear. They can't pick up anything. If you were doing the generic with the tunnel, you would have to clearly send the dog from one side of you or the other. And that sometimes is a double lead change. So that can get a little tricky for the dog. You got to be patient. All right, we have just a couple of minutes left for questions. Questions? If you do one of these and it's like, wow, I had more questions than I started with, it's a good thing, you guys, because it just before you train left and right, you really have to understand. You know, you saw how easy it was. I had that's just doing those diagrams late at night. I'm a little bit embarrassed that I didn't catch that. Well, I did catch it, so that's a good thing. But you can see how you really have to think about your position, and then you have to do jump around the clock, so that if you have a single jump like this, and your dog is on your left and you're approaching from here, it's hook to go that way, and it's dig, dig, dig to go that way. If you're in the middle of the jump, it's turn to go that way, dig, dig, dig to go that way, just as the diagram shows. But you also want to do this with you moving all around. And what happens is the dog starts to think, got it. She just wants me to turn tight around the stanchion she's closest to. Every dog asks that question. Every single dog. Am I screen sharing? Can you see what I'm talking about?
No, you weren't screen sharing.
Sorry. So here, am I screen sharing now?
Yes.
Yes, I am, it tells me. So you guys, what I'm talking about is on a single jump, this handler is practicing turn from her left side, but she should also be practicing dig, 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 or your verbal rap cue, whatever you say. And then she should be moving here. Well, for this side, it would be, for the left turn, it would be here. She'd move here. So now her turn meant go this way, and her dig, dig, dig means go around this way and come back to her. And what some people think and some dogs think, oh, I'll just say it's about the lead change. So if you're way over here and you say your generic rap, dig, 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 your dog has to pass that stanchion and go around this way in order to not change leads and take the jump. And if you say turn, he's got to take this one in order to change leads and take the jump. So doing a jump around the clock, and this is regular maintenance for any dog. All dogs, because most of our tight turns are done with us on a wing, That's the goal, is to be on the wing you're turning the dog on. So most dogs after a while will go, got it, hear a word, turn tight on the wing you're on. So this balancing drill of dig, 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 and going around the clock. So the handler would do it from here, 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 and here. But you got to be clear on it. I have a lot of handlers also think they get their dig, 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 their verbal wrap cue mixed up with their verbal turn away cue. So you could draw, I sometimes have students draw a jump around the clock or look at a jump and say, my dog's on my left, what do I call it as I move from wing to wing? Okay, how you all feeling? Encouraged, inspired?
I feel better because now I can use your some of your course things to work on our left and right better. So thank you.
Cool. The end-to-end drills, it's a fun drill, but because of your position, it's a little bit easier for the dog. So you've got a little bit of patterning. So if you get those parallel drills worked out, it's enough.
Yeah.
It's enough. Anybody else?
This is Amy again. I had another thought about right and left. I'm assuming that a dog is going to have a natural lead, kind of like being right-handed or left-handed. So depending on which lead they have, only one of the two, the right or the left, will be a lead change if you do use right and left rather
They
than.
can't, that's true, Amy, but you'll know which their lead preference is by they'll turn tighter and knock less bars on that lead. Their quadruped literally cannot run on the wrong lead. They'll 9 times out of 10, they're going to be on the lead on the side. If they're on your left, they're going to be on their right lead. 99 maybe % of the time. They
in which
can't.
Case, based on that round the clock, you wouldn't actually be giving right or left command if they were on. You didn't want them to change lead.
You would be giving them a turn away cue, and your turn away cue may be left.
Okay.
And if it's the other direction, your turn away cue may be right. I want to stress again, I do not have a left and a right and a generic turn away. I use left to turn away to the left, and I use right to turn away for the right. And I didn't give you, I showed you that, if you guys have a minute, I'm 4 minutes over, and I know a lot of people don't like that. If you want to leave, I won't be offended, but let me show you, this might help. Here it is. Sorry, guys. So I told you that I have 4. So my turn, come with me, is a single word. Here, jump. I told you that one. Turn tight, dig, 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 wrap, 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 tuck, tuck, tuck. My turn away from me to find an obstacle, mine is left tunnel. And it's a big single command, and it's on approach to the obstacle before. So my dog is heading to a jump. There's a turn to the weaves. In his information zone, Tuxedo's a border collie, it's about 15 feet, 12 to 15 feet. I would say left, pull. As he turns left, he'd hear pulls. So that's a single loud command. My tight turn away from me, so I have left, right, and I have left, 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 and right, 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 and those are my turn away tights. Those are my turn away tights. So Pat has turn and turn, 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 turn. A generic staccato. So the staccatos mean collect up. And I like having, some people have like, they have completely different words. They have, I like that my tight left and my big left sound the same. Left, 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 and left. But when I say left, he goes big. And when I drop my voice and do that, lat, 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 he knows it's a collection to wrap away tight, just like dig, 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 dig. So if that's confusing, I'm available for privates. It's confusing for lots of folks. It's a lot of information, and there's no way to explain it without giving you all of the pieces. So it's a lot of pieces.
Sandy, if you were say more than halfway down the dog walk and the dog's at the other end and you want them to turn away and take a tunnel right next to the dog walk, would you use, say, turn to the left, would you use left, 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 or would you
Yes.
use left tunnel? You'd use left, left, left tunnel. Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't use, because my lefts and rights are trained to the level they are, and I don't turn on obstacles. If the tunnel is, sometimes judges will put the tunnel a couple of feet away from it, in which case the dog will start to turn in, I'll say it, but usually I just say left, 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 left. And if I needed the dog to go straight and I was behind, it would be go on left poles or go on left, 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 left if I was coming back to that tunnel.
Got it.
So there's a lot of times, you guys, that I say go left or go left, 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 or go dig, dig, dig. I use go dig, dig, dig when I need to send a dog and do a tight turn to come back to me all the time. So I do a lot of double verbals. Because I don't like trying to time those directionals at this split second. And that's what I love about the verbal staccato, because I can be warning the dog, you know, the left, and you guys, you got to teach your dog to travel a little bit to the obstacle. And there is an argument for not doing a lot of on the flat verbal directionals. There is an argument for getting them on obstacles as soon as possible, because I've had dogs that I said left and they did on the flat, on the spot left and didn't take the obstacle. So now I take care. And when I never, ever, if I say left and the dog does this beautiful spot on left and doesn't take the obstacle, I never throw a party. And I've seen people do that. Like, oh, he took my cue. He went left and I said left. But the dog thinks, oh, note to self. She's happiest if I don't take the obstacle. And I want to live in a world of when in doubt, take the obstacle. When in doubt, take the obstacle. So they get their cookie in 1 second later. I just get them over it. And I keep showing them, no, this will be the timing. You will be hearing it here. I don't say, oh, I said it too soon. I'll have to say it later. Because you'll get in that terrible trap of having to give your directionals at the precise second. And I just rather say, go dig, 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 and know he's going to take 3, 4, 5 strides, 2, 1, and then wrap the stanchion. It's like a parlor trick. It's like, go grab your bone, go wrap the thing, go back, you know, do a backside. It's like a parlor trick. In fact, I look at my jumps as a parlor trick. It's just this thing that we do tricks on. And that's why I rarely say jump anymore. I rarely say hop or over or jump, because I actually need the dog to do something more specific. I say jump and hop when it's just like in a line and I don't need collection or a backside or a turn. But most of the time I need one of those things. So I'm just going to say that thing. All right, you guys, if you're confused, it's okay. You just got to unconfuse yourself with the articles or me or another trusted source. I'm here to help.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Oh, good. Thanks for coming, you guys. I have been talking on Facebook a little bit about this donation-based learning. And if I make just a little bit more on these things, I could continue to offer it on donation only forever. And, you know, I think we're at a point in our world where we got to help each other. So, you know, think of the value that you got, but also think that if I keep offering donation-based learning, that those that can will have to for those that can't. And I don't want to start a political thing or a personal thing. Please, please, please. It's just an idea I have that I'd like to try. And I wouldn't have to make very much more at all to provide a lot of spots for free that those that want to keep learning and have been hit as hard as I have by COVID. Okay? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sandy.
Bye.
Thank you, Sandy.
Bye.